I still have to hear the whole story before I'm going to agree to anything.
Listen, you're not in any position to be making demands. We're here saying that we might be able to help you.
Duke says
the
over
least
the
you can
mind
do
link.
is tell us what's going on.
Make a
Duke says over the
persuasion
mind
check,
link to Tarin.
Eldove.
Just swear.
Eldove, persuasion check. Are you still dressed in your noble's raiment?
Yes.
Okay.
Always. That's a 16.
One of these days, I'm going to have like a magic portal that only activates if you walk through it with a chicken suit on. And that's the day that Eldove will have to leave the campaign because he just can't do it. He listens to Eldove's words and he seems to consider them. But then he catches himself and says, "And why should I trust you, a man of Dunfoss? What have you to offer me? How can you protect me from these hobgoblins? How do I know that you won't take my secrets and sell them back to the nobles in your den of thieves?"
Well, for one thing, I can use spells that do more than cast 3 magic missiles.
Hey, those things hurt.
At that, you see his eyes get wide. And he takes a step forward, kind of into Khalil's personal space. What's Khalil's reaction?
Reach out, push him back.
You shove him back into the closet?
Yeah.
Back at the closet, wizard.
And at that, he hunkers back down in the corner and says, "No, this is no good." He says, "No, I will not show you, unless you swear it. I will not show you if you drag me up there in chains."
Duke says again over the mind link, "Guys, let's just swear it. It'll be fine."
Alright, I swear, I'll help. I just want to see what this project is.
What do the rest of you say?
I don't say anything.
The captain speaks for me.
Duke says, "Fine, cool, we swear. Just show us the thing."
He stands up and brushes himself off and waits for Khalil to get out of his way.
Khalil will step aside.
He walks out of the room, and he looks very intently at Eldove. Looks at him up and down. Not like in a gay way, you know, just kind of regarding you, head to toe.
Hey, I have a 20 charisma. I can understand.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, you appreciate beauty in all its forms. And where are your scales showing on your skin?
Mostly face and hands.
Face and hands? But you're wearing gloves, right?
At the moment, yeah.
Okay,
so
but you
just
can-
face.
Okay. And you see him looking very intently at your face. The contours of it, you know, the beautiful chiseled jaw, you know, the full pouty lips of your elven
Yeah,
heritage.
this all seems normal to me. I'm used to this.
The wispy hair that falls and frames around your cheeks. God, is it hot in here or is it just me? Okay.
The thing is I only have a 20
There's a war.
charisma in this. I only have a 20 charisma in this plane. It's just that people on this plane are way into dragons.
He points at you and says, You are a being of great power. Not learned power, natural power. It courses through you.
Yeah.
He says, You may be of help to me. I think with your assistance, I could be of great aid to the people of Dunfoss, and then they will owe me?
I think it's more likely that you'll owe us, considering the situation that we find ourselves in.
We help each other. You lend me your power, I lend you mine. I rid the borders, the border country, your peasantry, your farms, your mines, your trade routes with other nations. I rid them of how many hundreds of goblins and hobgoblins surround us at this point. Gone in a flash, smoke in the wind. If you will assist me.
This is out of character.
Okay.
This is just me talking back. But haven't we mentioned that that Dunfoss has asked this guy for help before, and he blew us off?
He did. Absolutely. Yes. Every communique you sent up here, I don't know, I don't remember if we spoke with Eldove tried to personally come up here, but
No, it wasn't me personally. It was
he treats the people of Dunfoss as though they're beneath his notice. I think is what we explained. Like, he has no use for Dunfoss or any other nations. That was always the gist that you got with previous communications with this tower. Even though the lake and the tower technically fall within Humberth's borders, there's really no communication here, and he's never aided or assisted you in any way that you're aware of. He's an asshole, arrogant wizard that lives alone in a hermit tower in a lake.
Wizards are douchebags. We get it. Yeah.
Well, Cube's not a douchebag.
Cube is our Cube. He's our arrogant douchebag.
Yes, but he tells you that the power he wields. And while Dunfoss itself is relatively safe from these particular raids, like, no, I don't want to sound like it's overselling. From what you know of Dunfoss, the city itself and most of the surrounding lands are perfectly safe from all these raids. Humberth's garrisons and fortresses and whatnot. But the border country, far out beyond the woods and up closer to the mountains, there are not frequent raids in those areas, but they do occur from time to time. So it does occur to you that he's not technically offering as much as he's probably trying to make it sound.
Yeah. Alright, well, I'm willing to hear what he has to say for the rest of it before I make any firm commitments here.
So he exits his little closet, and he takes you. He leads you up the tower, all the way to the top floor here. God, this is a really low-res image. I'm sorry.
Over here?
What is my fucking problem? Look at this mess. Yeah, he takes you up into this room here. This circular chamber. And every room that you walk through on the way up, totally bare, devoid of furniture. There's nobody else in the tower. The walls and the floors, all the stone of the place radiate some form of magic. But it looks a bit like... Oh, I guess Khalil and Eldove would both be familiar with this. It looks a bit like a very wealthy noble who came on hard times and had to liquidate all their assets while trying to make it seem, as outward appearances, as though they're still rich. Kind of what looks like this guy's got going on.
A thing occurs to me. The fire demon-looking thing in the basement said that they had been captured for 100 years?
Yeah.
And this guy we're talking to right now is very much a human?
Very much human, yes.
And he appears to be
He's
very
a
much
wizard
how many years
now.
old?
Well, he said the guy downstairs said they were bound for 100 years. He didn't say how long that he had already been there. He said the contract was for 100 years. He was bound to that place for 100 years. He might have only been there for 6 days. You don't have any idea.
Okay, no,
You have no
alright,
idea.
fair enough. That was what I was wondering. Alright, never mind. Carry on.
Now, this stairwell, in this center chamber, goes up one more floor to the roof of the tower, where you all saw the large ovoid shape from the bank. But he brings you out into this room, and you see from the ceiling descending into this room all sorts of strange mechanisms, all radiating magic. And he shows you one place in particular. It's a small compartment, about the size, like you could reach your hand into it and set it there for a moment. And he explains, I have constructed here the most powerful weapon, the most powerful military force Dunfoss or any of the surrounding kingdoms has ever known. He says, I have built a magical artifact, the likes that have not been seen on this world since the days of the great witch kings of Ramnes.
What is it, anyway?
He says, it is a torrent of fire in the sky. And I turn it, and he shows you a knob. Is I could turn it with this mechanism all around my tower. I can see for a mile in any direction. Anywhere I choose becomes a smoking crater in the ground. It's a thing of beauty, I tell you. But those hobgoblins destroyed it. No, you're in the room underneath the roof. You're on the top floor of the tower. The stairs go up to the roof. If you had gone up to the roof, the hobgoblins might be able to see you. In fact, you get the sense that he hasn't gone up to the roof himself since the hobgoblins attacked.
I'm just evaluating my throwing this crazy wizard off the roof options.
Where are the
Don't
windows of the
notice.
tower? There's no windows in this room. I don't think there's any windows
So-
anywhere in the tower.
So here's my question.
Okay.
If this is such a powerful weapon, then it doesn't seem very useful because it seems like you can only hit targets that are here around this lake.
He says, and what else do I need to defend this lake, to make this patch of world mine?
Just doesn't seem very practical.
So what do you?
And he waves his hand in the air. He says, "Practical. This one doesn't understand magic at all."
So it's been about a minute.
What was supposed to happen at the end of the minute?
How real is this guy?
Yeah, Khalil's supposed to be.
I mean, given
Yeah,
what you've seen in the tunnel so far, and comparing it to the wizard you know, the previous tower, that had similar kinds of magic defenses, if he's telling the truth about this thing that he's built, and you saw the devastation that it wrought on the bank of the lake when you were down at the camp, if this is the wizard, if this is the guy, he's the real deal. As far as class levels, we're talking 18, 19, 20, it would have to be. What you're not sure of, though, if the source of his magic is wizardry, like the previous... We never did give that other wizard a name. That's so weird.
No.
I name every even
Wizard.
insignificant NPC.
He was the man with the mustache, as far as
Right.
He's the
Wizard
man with the
dead, who
mustache.
gives a shit?
The bushy mustached man.
Yeah.
He had an actual spell book, which you all discovered. This guy, you haven't seen him actually use any magic. You saw him use a wand that threw magic missiles, and you know magic missiles and wizards go hand in hand.
I could do that now.
I was gonna say, is this guy a level 20 rogue?
No, it's not possible that he's a rogue because it looks like he's constructed very powerful magic traps. He created the magic to bind those fire monsters down in his basement to guard his tower.
And in fact, did he pick up the magic missile wand when he got up?
He didn't. He left it there.
Zook
Did you
pocketed
steal
that
his...
shit.
You stole his wand?
Oh
It's a
my
level
god.
1 wand,
Really?
Duke. That shit's
No, it's
garbage.
actually a pretty useful thing.
The man is on
No,
his
it's
knees
not.
begging for help, and you're going to kick him while he's down. All right,
Well,
add
I
it,
didn't
add it to
assassinate
your
him. We
sheet.
haven't decided yet.
Wand of Magic Missile,
Tarin, the
add
only
it to
way
your
that
sheet.
wand could be useful is if we're gonna kill, like, level 1 townspeople
Hey, there's an army
while
of
they're
goblins,
running.
of hobgoblins outside.
That's true. Level 1 town people is basically goblins.
I mean,
But-
I'll hand it to one of the dudes guarding our walls when we get back to town. I mean, it's fine.
But yeah,
Zook's
Khalil,
Zook's
to answer your
skills.
question, it looks to be like he's the real deal. And you're not sure why he didn't come blasting you with fireballs and lightning bolts.
Yeah, that's the thing that kind of that gets me confused. It's like if this guy wanted us to not be here, we would not be here. He would have done something far worse than what Tarin did to that guy downstairs.
I don't know about that.
What Eldove is currently thinking is, if this guy used his magic casting some kind of horrible fireball and he's gonna ask me to do the same thing, he can get fucked.
So he starts describing how the apparatus works. And a lot of it is beyond any of your... You can't follow what he's talking about. He's talking about magical schematics that are way out of your league. I mean, none of you have wizard class levels. None of you understand like the force of magic as a science in the world.
I'm not even trained in Arcana. Like, I don't know shit.
Tarin
But you
does,
catch
though.
the
That's
gist of it. During the day, he has constructed this large mirror on the top of his tower, and during the day it collects the radiance of the sun and stores it in one of the glass chambers that you're looking at in this room here. And he can discharge that power, that pure energy coming off the sun, as a radiant blast of fire down and around his tower. And the way he's talking is this is just the first step. The next step is to take the basic idea and collapse it down, something a man could carry. He is definitely in the weapon business.
How much of my use magical device allows me to follow his explanation, or is it just as basic as you just said?
Actually using the device would not require any wizard levels. It's just buttons and levers. Charging the device is a different story. And he explains there were two key components of this apparatus, this beautiful weapon of majesty that I have made. And he says, yes, I admit, the first was a magic oil. Something that I once had in my possession but was stolen from me. Back when I still trusted those blasted gnomes. Said one of them snuck it out from under me. And yes, I hired the hobgoblins to go and retrieve it. And yes, they did. But I didn't pay them. Yes, I betrayed them. They're hobgoblins. They're evil. They're a blight on the world. I would set them all alight if I could, and I can, if I get the machine working again. And he looks at Tarin and says, and that's the role of the gnomes in this. They paid for their thievery. What they stole was given back. The debt was returned. But I only took what's mine. Now he nods, matter-of-factly, as though that's the end of the point.
How many gnomes exactly?
I'm
What did they
thinking-
steal the oil for?
Wait, what did you ask?
How many gnomes exactly? What did they steal the oil for?
He tells you that he once had apprentices in the tower with him, gnomes from not a local village. There's no local villages, but up in the hills, over to the east, one of the little rock gnome villages. Gnomes being just naturally attuned to illusion magic, he took a few on as apprentices, and one of them nicked a bunch of magic items and left. And when that happened, he fired all the rest of the gnomes and kicked them out of the tower, and decided not to trust anybody with his work. This took place in the past year or two.
So there was no hundreds of gnomes incinerated, unlike the Hobgoblin story?
Well, remember the Hobgoblins said they did that when they were recovering the oil.
Right. The Hobgoblins, Angus reached out to them and
Okay.
hired on a Hobgoblin unit as a
Right,
mercenary
okay, that
group
makes sense
to
then.
raid the village and get back what was stolen. That's what he's saying now. He says the second key component is a wellspring of magical energy, a great amount, more than one man could hold in his body at once. So for 48 hours, and he motioning to the small hand-sized contraption, and he kind of puts the tips of his fingers into it, draws them in and out a little bit, and he says a little forlornly, 48 hours I maintained the ritual, pushing past the limits of human exhaustion, and I felt the magical energy well up inside me, and I discharged it into the device. But the Hobgoblins cracked the glass with their catapults, and it all leaked away. He shakes his head, says, I don't know when I'll be able to reenact the ritual. I don't know when I can repair the device and power it again. And then he turns around and looks at Eldove and says, but you are a conduit for an untapped source of magic, the unknowable, the unexplained. You don't study, you don't know the formulae, they just work through you. I envy you in a way, my friend.
In a way.
I'm gonna say to Tarin over the mind link, this guy is even crazier than he seems if he thinks that I'm gonna power this horrible death ray for him. Are you on the same page as me?
I was about to... I mean, the first thing I thought was, there's no way we're hooking Eldove into a death ray, for multiple reasons. And, yeah, that's completely confirmed.
So, what's our plan here? Do we just tell him no, or... Because I have a telekinesis spell, and this man has cast level 1 magic missiles.
No, he used a wand to throw magic missiles. He did not cast any spells.
Yeah.
I'd more pity him than have anger for him at this point. I don't know.
That might have.
Let me maybe argue a little bit more. He slaughtered an entire gnomish village of tinker gnomes for their created magical device.
And when he sees
not
that
100% certain that
nobody's
he stole.
answering him, he gets like a sour look on his face, and he says, "Well, what's wrong? You all swore. You swore you would help me. You swore you would help me, and then Dunfoss would owe me a debt."
This guy's crazy as shit.
Yeah.
So do we just open the front door, or do we toss this guy off the tower and tell the orcs to get fucked?
I mean, the main thing is he doesn't seem to be a particular danger to anyone, but he could be.
He isn't a danger now. He created a death ray.
Yeah, he will be a danger.
No, you're right.
We can't.
I
let him
don't.
go.
The thing...
Oh,
And now
I
when
don't
he
feel
sees
right about
when he
leaving this
sees
guy
you all
here.
just looking back and forth at each other and not answering him, he makes a break for it and runs for the center stairs.
Eldove.
I'll run back for him. Or Eldove can just telekinesis.
Telekinesis.
yeah, I'll telekinesis and grab him.
And you grab him right off the floor, and he starts wailing about how you are all betrayers and how he's going to confine you all to the bottom, darkest, most pits of the 9 hells. That he will bind you to his service for 1,000 years, picking his toenails and shampooing his crotch, and etc., etc.
Zook loads an arrow and says, "Hush now, the adults are talking."
And his yap snaps shut. But he looks extremely, and you see him struggling against the telekinesis that Eldove has him in. Like, he knows exactly what's going on with this spell. Like, you get that. He knows.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he knows. He's familiar with the telekinesis spell and what you're doing to him. But he doesn't have the strength to break free of it.
Yeah, I'm guessing he has a negative to strength, and I have a +9 for my check, so...
And Khalil...
That's not happening.
Having observed him and watched him, you notice he doesn't look to be very old. He doesn't look to be like an elderly man, but he looks very frail. The skin is drawn close around his bones. It looks like he's not... Like, if you had to put a pin in his constitution score, you're thinking 5, maybe. This guy, whatever he did to power this device, he gave a lot of himself.
So here's my
So the only concern Tarin has with just tossing this guy off the top of the tower is that for however long he was here and apparently not a threat to anyone, and I'm a little hesitant. I'd love to know why he suddenly became so mad.
Do you ask him?
Yeah, that's fair.
So what's your actual question?
As far as I can tell, you've been working here for years without really being a serious threat to anyone. What's with the sudden interest in death rays?
And he looks at you, and you see the look on his face. Like, he looks defeated at this point. Like, he looks like you've all betrayed him terribly, and he doesn't want to tell you anything, but he doesn't see much choice he has. He says, "What do you know about squid heads?"
Know that they're at war with the deep gnomes. Know that they're pretty bad news, honestly. Quite a bit, actually.
Deep gnomes and dwarves both. They're bad news for them, and they're bad news for all of us if that war is lost. He said, the work that I do here, the work that collects sunlight and can be unleashed as a weapon, if I could contract it down, if I could build something that the gnomes can use. He says, the war against the armies of dark elves and squid heads would be turned. He says,
And Tarin's just gonna kind of raise an eyebrow by something powered by the sun in the Underdark.
He says, you don't understand. He can't motion over to the glass compartments in the room because his arms are being constricted against his body. But he nods towards them. He says, when the device is working, these fill up as a kind of tank for sunlight, the way a jug would hold water. And then it can be moved and used wherever.
Orphan.
My comrade, the southern tower that you mentioned, he was working to the same ends, developing weapons to be used in this war.
Like grenades?
And Orphan says what?
Oh, and Orphan says, it sounds like you've been more, at least as much of a threat to the survival of the hill gnomes as any Underdark creatures.
He says, I only took back what was mine. I took back what was stolen. I have that right, don't I?
I'm gonna make an insight check to see if he's lying about taking back what was stolen.
Roll it. Ooh.
22.
He's not lying, but there's something he's not telling you. He's keeping something back. There's something he hasn't told you. But he's definitely not lying about definitely not lying about the oils having been stolen from his archives by apprentices who he had then fired. And I'm sorry, but Peanut just handed me my dinner, but I'm just going to go ahead and eat it while we play.
Okay.
I'm going to start shaking him around with the telekinesis. I'm going to say, what aren't you telling us?
And he squeals. I don't know what you mean. What else do you want to hear from me? You have me entirely at your mercy.
Now, we know that. So you admit that you were working with the wizard in the other tower. Do you know what happened to his tower?
I didn't know anything had happened until you came and told me. My last correspondence to him was over a year ago, and I never received a reply.
Right, and we have that correspondence, we think, about these glasses. So tell us about those.
He nods. He says, yes, they're magical spectacles. He says, mortals can't read the magic words on a scroll unless they've been trained to do so in a particular way. These magical spectacles would enable any mortal, from the highest king and the grandest wizard down to the lowest peasant shoveling shit in a stable, to read any spell scroll. that can be
Okay.
written.
And
So
where are these? Where are these glasses?
It says they're not finished. I ran up against a problem. Problem with the schematics. That's why I wrote for help. But if they could be finished, this again would enable our allies in the Underdark. It would give them a great power to wield. Imagine it, everybody on the front line of a battlefield, holding in their hands not a bow and arrow, but a scroll of fireball.
It's an expensive armored outfit.
He says, yes, well, the expense is not my concern. The theory is my concern. I'm sorry, I gotta run and get another Pepsi. This one's gone. I'll be right back.
So what happened to you?
By the way, I have to
exactly?
open this.
Oh, shit. So what happened to this guy if he's so emaciated?
He got drained by whatever he tried to do with this death ray.
Yeah, he put all of his magical energy into it.
So it's
This guy tried to hook me into a death ray that steals life force. I don't know what we agreed to, but it's not going to include setting this guy free.
Yeah. No, like Orphan wants to throw him off the tower right now.
Yeah, Tarin just wants more information, honestly, at this point. Also, he's a little sad that they're going to have to let hobgoblins ransack the tower. Seems like a perfectly nice tower.
I think it'd be a more good than evil act to throw this guy off the tower.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
Zook at this point just wants to get as much loot out of this place as possible. This guy seems batshit crazy, though I'm starting to think that this war in the Underdark is going to play more heavily into the story eventually.
I think that whatever good this wizard ends up doing is going to be offset by whatever crazy shit he unleashes on the world.
Well, has already done.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I still want out of him is if you can give me any information on how to break the chain binding that remaining Efreet. And yeah, then Tarin would agree that you can just throw him off the tower. Can you throw him far enough that the hobgoblins can get him? Or maybe I
I can
do
throw him with
ascending.
1,000 pounds of force.
I could do ascending and tell them to be watching the top of the tower.
Okay, so who's
Yeah.
watching the top of the tower? What are you guys doing?
No,
what horrible
it's-
plan?
They're contemplating being terrible people.
How terrible.
Tarin, go ahead and ask your question about the chain dude.
What can you tell me about the chains that bind your servants in the basement?
Says they are strong and loyal guardians. Fire spirits from deep in Ramneus, far deeper than mortals dare to live. They have their uses.
And what can you tell me about the chains specifically that bind them?
It says a common magical device used to chain magical creatures. This is infused, and he rambles off some details about the schematics of creating these particular chains and the magics that go into them, but it's over your head. You don't get it.
Okay, what's the way to let him go?
And he stops and stares at Zook. Says, "Why would I let him go?"
Because
We're up here, so they're obviously not very good guardians, and I definitely think the loyal part is overstating the fact.
He straightens up a little bit, as much as he can.
Himself. I think calling him they is a bit of an overstatement at this point.
And Angus asks, "So, did you kill them? Am I defenseless now?"
You're being held by telekinesis a few hundred feet over the surface of a lake. I think you know the answer to that question.
You're not holding him over the surface of the lake. You're holding him inside this room.
Yeah, we're not up on the roof yet.
You guys
Yeah.
are not up on the roof.
Yeah.
Says, "I don't understand what you would have me do. Turn over all of my magic, all of my years of research to you people and be left here with nothing and then be slaughtered by hobgoblins? Where is your charity, man? Where is your compassion as a human being?"
Zook laughs out loud at as a human being thing.
Or
Even with that, he doesn't seem to have much respect for human beings.
Certainly doesn't have much respect for gnomes.
Doesn't have much respect for fire spirits either.
Or hobgoblins.
What do you have respect for?
So they got done talking to you. If I am to die, then I will do so with dignity and grace. And then he immediately bursts out, just sobbing.
dignity and grace.
Eldove, I don't suppose you can probe this dude's mind while holding him with telekinesis, can you?
I
I can't
Khalil
do
hold
both.
him.
Yeah,
Wait.
anyone can hold this guy. We just got to grapple him. That's it.
So, we want to spend a few rounds, a few minutes probing this dude's mind for whatever it's worth before throwing him off the roof of his own tower.
Damn,
Yeah.
son.
Good.
Cannot believe you
Seems
people.
pretty reasonable.
Chaotic good.
This guy has done more evil to the world than good.
Has he?
Yes.
Is this McDohl asking or Khalil asking?
A little of
Also,
both.
we're in Dunfoss, and this guy used piracy to steal a bunch of shit from gnomes. I'm pretty sure legally we have the right to kill this guy.
Well, that's not what he said. He said he only took back from the gnomes what was stolen from him. He didn't take anything else.
No.
Then
Oh,
Where's
did all the gnomes steal shit from him, or
No,
like the
just-
entire village?
No, this is just Eldove working on really convoluted legal standing.
I guess.
You have to understand. He's obviously
Well, I'm just
stealing.
saying.
He sent.
What he said is that one gnome stole something from him, and then he burned down an entire gnomish village.
No, he hired hobgoblins
I'm
to go
not
retrieve
getting-
it. What the hobgoblin
Guys,
said
I'll
was
be
they
right
raided
back.
the village. As far as the wizard's concerned, from Eldove's point of view, as far as the wizard is concerned, the way he justifies it to himself is the hobgoblins took that upon themselves. He only sent them to retrieve
From
an item.
Eldove's point of view, he sent a bunch of hobgoblins to raid a gnomish village.
Well,
That
This is
almost
also
does.
These
That
are
is
also the
pretty awful.
hobgoblins who he said were irredeemably evil, and he would destroy all of them, and he trusted them to do that? Yeah.
Well, he trusted them to do it, but he immediately betrayed them.
Yeah.
When they came back to deliver
That's
the
worse.
goods, he killed
That's
them all.
not better.
No, it isn't.
So what do you do with the guy? Let's... What?
So we're
I'm
gonna
gonna-
hold him in place while Eldove probes his
I'm gonna
mind,
toss him to
so-
Orphan. Orphan, hold him.
Orphan
Yeah, I'll hold him.
gets her arms back around him and
Yeah.
grapples him tightly.
What's that?
And he says, "Well, ma'am, I do believe we've only just met." No, he doesn't say anything.
And while
He's
he's
sobbing
being
uncontrollably.
smug, I raid his mind.
Alright, so you cast Detect Thoughts. His surface thoughts are a mess of fear and doubt. And what you're seeing in his mind is... You're seeing a particular room in the tower. One of the rooms you pass. You can't be sure which one because you didn't look on all the doors coming up. And it's empty, almost empty like the rest of the rooms you've seen, but there's a very simple bed in it and a table. And on top of the table is a cloak. And this cloak is consuming his thoughts right now. And that's his surface thoughts.
And I'm gonna ask him, what's the cloak on the table?
And his eyes shoot up at you. He says, "You're reading my mind, how dare you!" And he fails his wisdom save. And you feel him press against you inside of his own mind. But it's just as weak and feeble as him trying to struggle against Orphan's strength. He says, "I was planning to use the cloak to escape all of you. Abandon this tower and start over somewhere else. But now I see you've denied me even that."
Where does the cloak go?
And he looks at you. Are you wearing your... You don't have your cloak
Oh, yeah.
displayed anywhere? You're wearing it?
It's a cloak. I can't really put my other clothes over it.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know if you weren't gonna use it, do you have it folded up and put in your pack? I wasn't sure.
No. If as long as it's attuned, there's no reason not to have it over my shoulders.
How nice looking a cloak is it?
Mine's weirdly translucent and slightly silver.
Yeah, that's badass.
He says it's similar to the one that you were wearing, but it doesn't take you into the dangerous mists. He says it connects one point with another in my knowledge, and blinks me there in an instant. It's a teleport spell. It can be used every so often. But the magic is infused into the cloak. I don't have to discharge it through my own body.
Do you have a dipping sauce?
Tarin, this guy carrying anything magical?
I'll scan him.
He's not.
Okay. Orphan, and this is gonna be over the mind link. Orphan, knock him out.
No,
Right.
don't.
No. Oh, we still need his thing, right?
That
Yes.
would lose.
Yeah, I
his-
wanna.
We need the way to.
Yeah,
Well, I want to know what he was holding back earlier.
Trust
first.
me, knock him out. I can do this.
And that's a detect thoughts thing. I want to know what
No,
he was trying to hold back.
He failed his wisdom save, and you go down deeper into his brain, and you probe into the area of his mind where you see gnomes and his interactions with apprentices that he had in this tower, and you see many of them come and go over the years. And what he's holding back was he promised the leaders of these gnomish villages that the apprentices would return with a great skill in magic. He was going to teach them to harness their natural gnomish ability for illusion magic and go back to their towns as great wizards. And he didn't deliver. He was not a very effective teacher. Either he was unwilling, well, I mean, you're in his head, so you know, he was unwilling to share what he knew with creatures he felt was beneath him. He made promises to these villages that he never intended to keep, specifically so he could put these apprentices to work as labor in his tower. And he's been pulling this ruse as far back as you probe.
All right, so since Orphan was since that order from Tarin came over the mind link, she just does it. Like, sorry, Eldove, but you don't get another round of this after that.
Okay.
I have a question for Eldove.
Orphan, roll damage.
And Eldove yells, "What the hell, Orphan?"
Orphan, roll damage.
Yeah, give me a second here.
I mean, he's got a lot of class levels. You're probably going to knock him out with one punch.
Wait, these are not. Sorry, I shouldn't be rolling D20.
You don't need to roll the hit. You've got him grappled.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a.
I'm just imagining you beating on him for like a good 15 seconds.
Yeah,
Perso!
Like, do you bludgeon him while until he falls
what I'm
unconscious?
doing is I'm cutting off his airflow.
It's
I've got him grappled, so I'm doing the
sleeper
choke,
hold.
giving him the choke.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
And he cries pitiably the whole time you're trying to pinch off his airflow, and it takes longer than you were expecting. I mean, the man has lots of class levels. I can't deny him his hit points.
Yeah, that's fine.
But after 30 or 40 seconds of choking this mofo out, he falls slack in your arms.
All right.
Well,
Actually,
if it takes 30 or 40 seconds, I'm going to ask him some questions.
With a con penalty, it's not going to take that long.
No, that's true.
Gets
That's true.
yeah.
I mean, he's not in any shape to answer questions, but you can go deeper into his head.
Right, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to find out what his intention is with this death ray, whether he's only going to use it in the way that he was saying.
He seems to have great delight in the fact that he owns this incredibly powerful weapon, but he didn't build it to defend his tower. Like, he just likes having it for the purpose of having such a great magical creation that he puts
It's a great
together.
conversation piece.
But his intention really was to find a way to reduce this particular contraption in size, so that the sunlight that is gathered by his mirror, or similar mirrors that he built in the future, can be taken into places where sunlight never reaches and be unleashed as a weapon there. He's very sincere. Like, there's no seams about it. He's very sincere in his wish to fight against the Mind Flayers in the Underdark.
Alright, he's still an unstable madman, though.
So I don't like
That
the
might be his
idea
wish
of-
now, but I'm not too good with him
So the
having
reason
this
I
anyway.
told you to knock him out is because I'm going to walk over to him. And, do we want to should I just use Create Thrall on this guy?
Sorry, what?
What?
Wow.
What's your alignment?
What does that do?
It basically completely dominates his mind forever.
Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on.
No, wait, what's this spell? Create Thrall?
It's not a spell, it's my ultimate class power.
It's my ultimate class power!
limit break.
Dude, not
What?
after the guy gets knocked out, Zook kind of waves his hand and goes, "Oh."
Let me read this power, because I didn't get that high on my Warlock levels yet, so I don't know what the hell you're doing. Go ahead, Zook. Go ahead. You have the floor.
All right. Zook wants to ask Eldove, while he was in his mind, you know, he's obviously been aged by what he's been doing. Like, what is his age in his mind's eye? Like, how
Yeah,
long
how old is this guy?
A little
how old
over
is he
50.
actually? A little over 50.
Is
but
he a
looks-
level 20 wizard?
Yeah, we'll go with that. He's definitely a wizard. It's like I said, like I told Khalil earlier, it's really hard. Like in his own head, he definitely believes he is, but he's in such a weakened state right now that he only wields a fraction of that power. And you don't get the sense that he could cast so much as a cantrip right now.
Right. And Zook's question is other than having this tower, which we are clearly taking away from him, is this guy actually a threat to anyone at this point?
Not at this moment, but I think he will be in the future.
But will he be able to regain his power and start, burninating the countryside again?
Right.
I guess my question is the best course of action for us to just kill this guy, or what?
Well,
chaotic or not, Zook is still good, and it's kind of...
His create thrall ability is pretty fucking evil, I gotta say.
I know.
Yeah. It's pretty dark.
What were you saying, Zook?
Okay, so here's the thing. If we brought this guy back to a gnomish village, right? And we told them he burned an entire gnomish he sent hobgoblins against a gnomish village.
Oh yeah. No, don't get me wrong.
They'll kill him.
The guy.
No, they'll kill him. Like, that's what they'll do.
Probably not. They probably wouldn't kill him outright. They would probably either stand trial, or they would turn him over to the whatever dwarven king rules over their particular village, whatever territory they're in. But because they're not evil aligned creatures, they probably they would not kill him sight unseen. So let me ask this question before we continue the conversation. I'm going to go down the list here. On the subject of Tarin using Create Thrall on this guy, let me describe what this does. It basically puts him in a zombie-like state, kind of in Tarin's control, and he can communicate with him telepathically, and that lasts indefinitely, or until someone casts Remove Curse on him. What would Orphan's thoughts be about that? And don't forget about whether or not Orphan actually knows what's about to happen. Assume she did know what was about to happen. What's her thoughts on it?
She would be seriously opposed to it. Not because I know that like Zook, for instance, has the whole ideal thing about nothing can be enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
But turning someone against what he is would be the greater offense to Orphan.
Okay. And Khalil, same question. Where do you want it?
Khalil has no... if Khalil knew what this was about, and he would have no opinion one way or the other.
That's stone cold. Zook, what do you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely against enslaving this guy. If we're going to kill him, snap his neck, be done with it.
And what about Eldove?
Eldove thinks he deserves to die. He doesn't think he should be enslaved.
Okay.
Stone cold, yo.
So now the question is, does Tarin describe what's about to happen to this guy? To the rest of the group?
I was asking, should I I've heard enough. Should I just take his mind away from him, or are we going to kill him?
I
and
think we
Zook
should just
says
kill him.
pretty much what he just said.
Orphan will pull him back away from Tarin and say, "I'll snap his neck first."
Fair enough.
So my question is, do we try to get any more information out of this guy, or do we take him out of society if that's the decision we're making?
I also don't think we should turn him over to the hobgoblins, obviously.
No, but you could turn him over to some other lawful authority. You could, like I said, turn him over to the dwarven king that reigns over that particular village. You could drag him back to Dunfoss.
Does Dunfoss have the technically...
To be honest, I don't know that Dunfoss would do anything to him. I don't think that they would give a shit about these gnomish villages. So
they would
if we were going to do anything, we'd bring him to a dwarven king.
On your word, Humberth would probably do something. If you relay to Humberth what this man's crimes were, he would probably use your testimony, because technically you're in Dunfoss's territory. So your word would carry a lot of weight with that.
My only fear with that is that he might regain some of his power and destroy half of Dunfoss before we do so.
Here's the other thing. We're the Duke of a land.
Yep.
In Eldove's mind, we have the authority to kill this guy.
Technically. I mean, you're nowhere near your land, but you have that authority on your own land.
Eldove doesn't give a shit.
Well, I know that. That's clear.
We could, he would teleport this guy back and kill him. But
So, Zook.
Yeah.
I think Zook has been convinced by the other guys, especially the magic guys who know more than he does about this sort of thing, that this guy is probably bad news. So greater good is he would just say, let's just kill him. We're not going to interrogate him anymore. Let's just go ahead and kill him, get it over with.
So is there any other information you want to get out of him?
I thought someone wanted to know what it would take to free the guy downstairs.
Yeah, there's
Tarin,
still
can
that.
you do that now that he's unconscious?
The only thing I can do now that he's unconscious is make him my thrall.
Unless
yeah.
you could, like,
Can
go
you
into
invade
dreams or
his
something.
dreams or something crazy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
but I
can.
can just cause him to have really bad nightmares and take psychic damage. It's not really, like, for gaining information.
That's not helpful. That's not helpful,
not.
Tarin.
No, but he can also use the dream spell to go into his dream and have a conversation with him. As
Yeah.
a form of communication.
But we already had a conversation with him in real life when he wasn't going to tell us anything.
Is he thinking anything while he's asleep? Can I use Detect Thoughts on him then?
That's up in the air. That's an excellent question, actually. Let me make a ruling on that real quick. Let me see here.
Because I know we ruled no when he's petrified, but
No,
this
the
seems like a
next
different
question
situation.
is-
Well, when a creature who's petrified, their brain is turned to stone. There's no brain to
Right,
probe
exactly.
in
That's what I'm saying.
there. No, he's alive, and his brain is definitely working. I mean, he's unconscious. He's dreaming. So yeah, I'll say you can go ahead and keep probing around in there.
So if we want
Alright,
to do this...
I want to find out any traps remaining in the tower, and also how to free that devil or demon or whatever the fuck. Actually, I want to know what the fuck that thing is.
Okay,
I
well,
don't
it's not
already
a-
know how to
yeah.
free it.
One question at a time. First question is, what's the
Are
first
there any
question?
remaining traps in the tower?
Yes. You see. The first, you get an image of the two stone dwarven statues standing in front of the first doorway, and you see like a goblin walking into the room and stepping in between them to try the door. And as soon as he enters that space, they both turn to him with their axes raised and cleave him in two. And they continue to cleave him until there's nothing left of him, but just a pulp on the floor. You then see the central chamber you saw, chamber number 3, where you first saw the pile of treasure. And you see the treasure crackling with electricity. And you see magical conduit leading from somewhere in the treasure to the north door of that room that leads into where Tarin discovered the ogre zombies. And you learn that trying to touch the illusory treasure there would cause a great amount of damage to you and paralyze your body while the ogres poured in through the door and pummeled you to death. And then you see the actual treasury room that is filled with magic where if you break the pane of the door, you ignite. And everything in that room has its weight doubled for the duration it's inside of the confines of the room. As for how to disarm these traps, it would just be a simple matter of dispelling the magic that's on them. You'd have to use the Dispel Magic spell at a level or higher than what it was cast, or you'd have to have this guy release the magic because he's the one who placed it there.
Second thing I want to know is the command words for each of the doors.
And you learn them. There's a different one for each door. The only one that I actually have in my notes is the one going in room number 4, because that command word is thieves! Anyone who touches the treasure, a magic mouth, speaks the command word, the door opens and the zombies come out. The rest of them are just various words in different kind of languages. There's really no way to discover them except for to interrogate this guy.
What the fuck those things were?
What things?
The fire things.
Efreeti.
Because they're not demons.
They're genies. They are fire spirits. And you've never seen one, but you know that spirits live all throughout the world, but they live in places where mortals don't dwell. The Efreeti live way out beyond the sands of Ramneus, where the air itself is fire. And there are similar genies that live in other parts of the world. Earth genies called Deo that live deep in the mountains and in the Underdark. I'm drawing a blank. The water one is a Merid, living deep in the ocean. I can't remember what the wind one is.
Djinn.
Yes. I was expecting
genies
Nich.
evil?
I was expecting Nich to step in there. Actually, some of them are, yes, but they're not. Efreeti, as a rule, are evil. Yes, they are slave drivers from the days of the Witch Kings. They had dealings with fire giants and whatnot, long in the past, when the Witch Kings ruled in Ramneus. But they're not like cosmically evil. It's not like they're not like a devil. There are exceptions. There are good genies in a way that there are not good devils. So as a rule, yes, Efreeti are evil, but the Efreeti you saw downstairs, you don't know.
Alright. And final question,
Eldove-
how would we free him?
Dispel the magic on the chain.
I was gonna ask, can
Do we know-
Eldove tell that killing him would dispel the magic or not?
I mean, I'll ask his maid.
No, it
Would
wouldn't.
killing him dispel all this magic?
It would not. The magic, wizard magic, it would remain in the world until a point where it's taken out. It's not connected to him in any way, in other words. He's not maintaining concentration over these things.
Okay.
I mean, if I made him a thrall, he could dismiss it all, and then we could kill him.
No.
Nope.
We can just dismiss it. We have a scroll. Yeah, I'll just
What
ask you,
level?
what was the spell cast on for that chain?
Higher than your scroll. You've got a level 3 Dispel Magic scroll. All these spells will be much higher than level 3. We're talking level 8 and 9 magic. Because we're talking about, to create these kind of effects, we're talking about magic spells that aren't in the player's handbook. We're talking about stuff that he's developed on his own over years and years of study.
Alright.
So, what you'd have to do is either get an extremely high-level wizard to give you a bunch of Dispel Magic scrolls, or you would have to strong-arm him, or force him, or bargain with him, so that he does it willingly. Or you would have to find something else to do.
But a sentient
We
cube
need
with
to
a
create
level
him
20
into some
spell
sort of
book.
thrall.
Cube couldn't do it. He's only a level 1 wizard. He can only cast level 1 spells.
Even with his level 20 spellbook, he can't.
That just means when he gains experience levels, he'll be able to learn the spells out of that book. Wizards don't get spells naturally the way that Tarin and Eldove do. They have to study them in books.
They do, but only a couple of level.
Well, those
Like,
are,
that
and
just
those
represents stuff that they learned while traveling.
Yeah,
Right.
that just represents learning from time.
Like, it's actually much easier to design a treasure hoard when there's a wizard in the party, because I can always just throw a couple scrolls in there, and it's like, oh, cool, stuff to add to my spellbook, and then they're happy. There's none of this, oh, I spent all this time making this really cool trinket, and then Eldove goes, that's garbage. I'm going to put it in the party loot area that I wrote that says garbage.
Hey, I put tobacco in that part of the party loot.
Hey,
I didn't put anything cool.
For what it's worth, I love Expendables.
Did
so
you invent
personally-
that tobacco?
I did.
Did you invent the concept of tobacco?
It had a whole backstory to it.
Scrolls are awesome.
I took the
Anyway.
Elvish dice.
Anyway, because Cube has a spell book that he didn't build, but none of the spells in that book make sense to him except for the level 1 ones. Once he levels up and can cast level 2 spells, he gets a couple level 2 slots. Then the level 2 spells, the formula will make sense to him, and he can memorize those.
I'm
Yeah, and
torn
technically he
because
can't even memorize those spells from the book because they're written by another wizard. He'd have to decipher them first.
I'm torn now because as little as I want you to enslave this guy, I also think that Afridi deserves his freedom. Direct conflict of my bond, and I don't know what to do about it. And
Really good question.
Duke's thinking about it. I'm gonna say to Tarin, what you're talking about doing to him, would he be aware of it, or would his mind be gone as soon as you do the spell?
Well, I mean, out of character for a moment. It's also not brainwashing. It's like he's in a state of perpetual charm.
Yeah, it's charmed. In character, Tarin says, "I honestly don't know. You would have to ask my patron." So it's the same question. It's the same answer you got when you asked me, and I explained about how some mornings I just wake up and I'm able to make you fly, basically.
We do it quick, and we can set the guy free. If we set this guy free, definitely be grudgingly okay with it, huh?
The Afreed,
Yeah.
you mean, right? Yeah.
That if taking control of his mind will let you set that guy free, and we kill him, kill wizard dude here.
That's basically why I wanted to do it. Would be to get any extra information he's holding out on us, and to finish up anything we need to do within this tower. I don't like it either, Zook.
I know you don't like it. I know you're not.
Well, he
over
can't
there
hold any
cackling.
additional information from us.
No.
I can read his brain.
No, yeah. Eldove's inside of his brain. All of his secrets
Yeah.
are laid bare to him.
No, the only reason that Zook would do it at this point would be to set that Afridi free, because he actually does feel like they should do that. Like, that's not bullshit at this point.
So I think the person we need to ask is Orphan at this point.
Yeah.
Does she still have him grappled?
Yes.
No, I mean,
Orphan, where do you
he's
stand on
slacking
that?
her arms
She's,
right now.
she's eyeing Tarin a little suspiciously.
Orphan, I'll kill him myself as soon as the Afreed's free.
She shakes her head.
Yes or no? I don't.
Or
No.
you could.
No. Hello?
Oh, we heard
I'm
you.
listening.
It's just silence right now.
All right.
Yeah.
We're just
I
letting
can never
Orphan
quite
have her
tell.
time.
No, in character, it's just silence.
Yeah, in character, we're just looking at you. You're the one who has to make this decision.
Yeah, you
You're
just
either going
shook
to
your
kill this
head.
guy or you're not. Like,
She thinks about that for a second. That's a good point. And so she snaps his neck.
So he just dies. You coup de grace.
Yeah, coup de grace. Yeah.
Oh,
And his whole body goes slack. You all hear the sickening sound of his spine breaking under Orphan's muscle, and he's no longer breathing.
So, feel like visiting Nal Kantar for a scroll with me, Orphan?
She thinks about that. It's like, I'm not sure he's the one we should be asking.
Oh, I think we have some other unfinished business with him, and maybe we can get a scroll out of the deal too.
now,
I don't know if there will be any dealing with him.
I don't know if there's anybody who would be up for freeing demons. Alcantar
But-
seems pretty high on the list.
Well, Orphan puts out, but he's not a demon.
No. Did you ever, out of character, did you ever tell us about your dream? Do we know about that or not?
Oh yeah, I did.
here's
Okay.
here's Khalil's thought. Like, okay, I mean, sure, I mean this guy is dead, but there's still, you know, the whole burninating the countryside weapon that's above our heads.
And real quick,
That's a good point.
Tarin, you would know that Nal Kantar does not have Dispel Magic. It is not a Warlock spell.
I thought it was.
It is not according to my little magic app.
Really? I repeatedly thought, I'll let the cleric do that.
Oh wait, no, these are not in alphabetical order. It very well might be. Let me see.
It's
Oh
high
yes, it
level.
is. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's by level, then it's alphabetical. So yeah, Nal Kantar could give you the scroll for it.
Gave us one at high enough level.
You don't know what level you'll
Alcantar is
need.
probably
but-
high enough level.